And now, your host, Couch Tomato!
Yeah, so Casey Jones, the guy from Arrow, he'll probably never work in this town again.
That's what disappointed me, because it's just like, I'm not the biggest Arrow fan. Like, I think this season went down a little bit, but like, I always liked Stephen Amell. I thought he carried the show a lot of time.
He's
like
done.
Yeah, like
he's worse than he's like Jai Courtney bad in this movie. And I'm not sure if it's him or if
the
it's
writing.
No, not even that. Like the editing too, because it'll show him in one sequence to where he's smiling and he's getting bad news delivered to him, and then when it cuts, you see him sad, and that kept happening throughout the film, and it kept pissing me off. But that and wow, like there's a lot of people that will never work in this town again. And what I mean by this town is Hollywood. Like the editor or director messed up his career.
Yeah,
and they messed up a lot of the Tyler Perry's career was already faded bad, but wow, like this guy has no shame in his game.
No.
Like and then the guy who plays Shredder, I preferred the Shredder who had no lines. This the thing with Casey Jones. If you watch the original, and what I mean by the movies that 1990, he was a cool character. He was kind of he was a bum almost, but he just
he was just cool. Like
he was a New Yorker.
Exactly.
This is where they mess up. I don't get sensitive to stuff like this, but you have to. For this film has an uphill battle. And when this shows me how Hollywood doesn't know anything. When you have an uphill battle, critics don't like your movie. They don't like 2014, everything you did with that. A lot of fans of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles property don't like 2014's film.
Nope.
So as an executive, instead of like listening to every single email, why don't you listen to the ones that matter? And this is where they get they're not really aware of the surroundings. They're trying to make Casey a likable character, but they make him a cop. I'm cool with them making him a cop. A lot of people may have issues with him being a cop because he ends up becoming a vigilante, right? There's something that happens in the beginning where he takes the law into his own hands and he starts beating up on criminals. In one case, he beats a bartender he's only guilty of like at least a misdemeanor crime almost.
Yeah.
It's a felony, but it's not a big felony. You know, like it's not something death row type. So when you got a guy carrying a hockey stick and you got a cop, an ex-cop, man, that screams. I'm like, dang, a lot of people go make a couple of police brutality jokes, for that to even be in this movie, I'm not sensitive to stuff like that. But I'm like, some people are like, he's not a likable character because he comes off as I have friends who are cops, so I let me choose the right words, but he comes off as the cops you don't like. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's like they introduce him as such, like he's talking trash to the criminals. I'm like, all right, dude, you kind of seem like a bad guy right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that aspect, he's hateable from the beginning. The editing doesn't help.
Nope.
Because like I said, there's some parts where he's getting bad news delivered to him. And the shot they choose to show is Casey smiling. I'm like, wow, the editing's off. Like there's somebody messed up. And they're trying to ruin his career. Like when you Jai Courtney just got a big break. Because I think a lot of people are going to start leaving him alone.
Suicide Squad, yeah.
Well, he's still bad. But this guy is worse than anything I've ever seen Jai Courtney do in this movie. And you can't really make an excuse, well, it's a Ninja Turtles movie, it's a bad script. Because there's no redeeming characters in this movie, basically. But they don't seem as bad as Casey. Like, when you watch this movie, Casey's going to be the worst one. His acting, his lines. He also resembles Robin from the Batman and Robin movie. So that's going against him as well. So but him, tell me why Casey and April O'Neil have the most ninjutsu scenes in this movie.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
And everybody knows ninjutsu.
And the thing is, you're fighting the Foot Clan. I know you have to have some suspension of belief, but they're fighting Bebop and Rocksteady, mutant, monsters, whatever, rhinos and warhogs.
They read the same book from 2014. They read that book that was in 2014. And that's the part I don't like. The Turtles, when they first go up against Bebop and Rocksteady, they get worked. And it's like, how does Bebop and Rocksteady know ninjutsu? You know, they just beating them with street moves.
Yeah.
And the Turtles forget how to fight. But then when April goes up against them and when Casey, oh my God, it's a landslide. You know, victory to humans. And it's just like, wait, the Turtles fell off that much? So I don't know. Like the main reason I like 2014 version is because of the action. So if you take away the action from this film, you take away the action from that franchise, I'm not going to like the movie. And this film succeeded in removing the only redeeming quality that its predecessor had.
Yeah.
Right? So when I saw this, man.
Like tomato,
And you like tomato,
potato,
potato,
tomato,
tomato.
let's go.